Now, in our first story, the Ghana Police Service has described as untrue claims by the New Patriotic Party that some of the personnel to be deployed for security duties on Election Day are yet to complete their training. The NPP, in a letter to the Inspector General of Police, said the use of unqualified recruits and the rapid scaling up of the recruitment process raises concerns about transparency in how these individuals were recruited and their capacity to provide full and equal protection to all Ghanaians on Election Day. But head of the National Election Security Task Force, Chief Superintendent Benjamin Agojo, says the recruits are in training and not new personnel specifically for the elections.
The GP has received the letter and he has referred that letter to the Director General CID to investigate and update him on some of the allegations that have been made. But I will want to add that most of those allegations are not things that are not known to us. And police are working on those allegations already.
You say working, exactly how?
Take note that in some of the cases are in court. In some other instances, the people report and they never come back. Let me give you a typical example of the Suhum case that they are making. I spoke to the district commander in Suhum yesterday. His name is Yaya, Superintendent Yaya, okay? And Yaya tells me they came to make the case, they wrote their statements, they were given medical form to go to hospital. They have never come back. And yet it is out there in the media saying that police are not doing anything about it. So let's take note. We are not saying that everything they have said is irrelevant. Yeah. I'm only saying that in most of those cases, police are addressing the issue. They should also go out there and help the police to address the issues.
That's a classical example of just one of the concerns that they have raised.
Yeah, just.
What about the others?
The others like what?
There are a lot of them. 8th of May.
Now, you don't need to go through
I don't need
every
to go
case.
through exactly
I gave you,
some of them.
For the cases of assault and other things, I've told you that there are two things. There are times that they don't go back.
Yeah.
Or there are times that the police are acting, but they cannot find the culprit.
But there's a particular instance that they mentioned that they are not too happy about. I want to bring that the announcement by the police of new plans to use new recruits who are not yet qualified, according to this letter, to monitor polling stations and to maintain law and order during the December 7 elections. They are particularly not happy. Is this new, if I should put to that, ask that? And then also, is that what the police is actually doing?
Let me first of all say that police have not made any announcement anywhere that we are going to use. There hasn't been any announcement. I don't know where the announcement is coming from. Remember that security officers usually vote ahead of time. Somebody was registered when he was not recruited as a police personnel. That person maybe has been sent to Pualugu. He's from Central Region. He registered in Central Region. And he has voter ID from Central Region, in a particular constituency in Central Region. He is now somehow, through no fault of his, finds himself in Pualugu. And he is, by his new status, a police recruit.
Is this to suggest, though, that you are not recruiting new people altogether?
No.
Not at all.
We are talking about the police personnel who have been recruited and are in training now. Those are the people we are talking about.
There are no new personnel.
There are no new personnel anywhere. We are talking about the recent recruitment we did, and the personnel are in training now. Those are the people that we are talking about.
Now, the company contracted to print this year's presidential ballot papers, InnoLink Limited, has denied report of a security breach in its systems. The claim of the security breach was raised by the New Patriotic Party's Director of Elections, Martin Eje Mensah-Quarta, citing information supplied by the party's representative deployed to observe the printing. According to him, a printing plate from the company, which looked like that for the presidential ballot, had been smuggled out of the printing house. Though management of InnoLink has confirmed the movement of a printing plate, it says it was not for the presidential ballot and there was nothing untoward about it. The company's managing director, Kingsley Kofi Addo, told the news conference the printing plate was given out to Aerovote, another printing firm, following a request by that company for assistance with work it was doing also for the Electoral Commission. It says the supposed plate has since been returned to InnoLink.
We wish to state that our own preliminary investigation has established the following facts. No plate of the presidential ballot had been given out by any officer of InnoLink Ghana Limited. Indeed, as we will soon show you, all the plates used in the printing of the presidential and parliamentary ballot papers are still intact. They are available for observation. They will be destroyed in the presence of the security agencies and party reps tomorrow, 24th November 2016. At around 1:52 p.m. on Monday, 21st of November 2016, InnoLink was approached by Aerovote Limited to assist it with the exposure of only one printing plate for the printing of the statement of poll. And the plate in question was black plate. And that Aerovote request to us was necessitated by their difficulties encountering in their darkroom or LATO department, a temporary situation, going to UK to expose this plate due to exigency of time owing to the urgency of the request. The management of InnoLink Limited consented to assist Aerovote to expose the plate, since InnoLink remains one of the few security printing companies in Ghana with plate baking equipment. We wish to point out that as far as InnoLink is concerned, there was no security breach. Our production manager was cleared by our security before he handed over the plate to the Aerovote official.
Present at the news conference were representatives of the NDC, PPP and BNI. InnoLink Printing Limited gave journalists the opportunity to tour its facility and observe its operations from the prepressor to the printing house, the binary and the design department. They believe they have a tight security system which makes it difficult for any such breach to occur. Watching Joy News Prime, we're taking a break, but we have more stories coming up. Please don't go away. Well, you're welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now, the Supreme Court encounter between businessman Alfred Boyome and his biggest adversary, Martin Amidu, scheduled for Thursday, appears to have been botched, at least for the time being. Lawyers of the businessman have filed a writ at the highest court seeking a review of an earlier decision that would have allowed the citizen vigilante to cross-examine Mr. Boyome over the controversial 51 million cedi judgment they paid him in 2010. Now, we're not too clear how this is going to affect tomorrow's proceedings, as it turns out that, meantime, there's another case that's come up, this time by a private legal practitioner, different from Boyome's lawyers, and that could also have an impact on the case we're talking about, or the oral examination that we're anticipating at the Supreme Court tomorrow. Now, Joseph Akable, he joins me in the studio. He has been following a lot of these cases. In fact, you have been in court several times following the Boyome case, Martin Amidu and Boyome case. Now, what the very latest we have is the fact that we're already aware of Boyome's lawyers, but we also have the latest information coming through being a private legal practitioner filing some suit or writs of some sort at the Supreme Court trying to stop this thing from going ahead. What are the details?
He's actually David Kojo Ametepe, and he's a private legal practitioner, like you pointed out, and he has filed asking for two things that are actually related. The first is he's asking for a stay of proceedings, and by proceedings he's referring to the matter before the court that is allowing former Attorney General Martin Amidu to orally examine businessman Alfred Agbesi-Woyeme. The second related issue is that he says he wants the court to discharge or take a second look at that ruling that allowed Mr. Amidu to go ahead and have that oral examination that was scheduled to come off on Thursday, I must say. So that those are the two interrelated issues. He's again asking that any other issue that the court deems fit, the court should go ahead and grant that as well.
All right. Now, it's interesting the date is seeking to have this thing moved, the substantive case.
More often than not, when you file such a writ, you should state when you want to move that before the court. And one would have expected that since that of the Amidu vs. Woyeme was coming up tomorrow, you would have fixed that at an early date. But interestingly, he's asking for December 6th, just a day before the general election, to move that motion before the court.
Now, if they're moving it on December 6th, then it's unlikely that it's going to be heard any time soon, essentially.
Definitely.
Stalling the process.
The only bit of difference that we are picking signals from various legal practitioners is it appears there are different schools of thought as to whether the planned examination will take place tomorrow or not, because some of the view that once such a writ is filed, the court has to hold on and hear the matter before they move on, whilst others have the view that the court can go ahead with this particular one.
All right, but for us here at Joy News, we're certainly going to be at the courts, and we're anticipating that is going to happen unless we get to the courts and it turns out that nothing of that sort is going to be happening. And I'm sure you're the one going to be covering that.
Definitely.
All right, thank you very much, Joseph Akable, bringing us up to speed with this oral examination of Mr. Woyeme, businessman Alfred Woyeme, by Martin Amidu. It's supposed to be taking place tomorrow, Thursday, at the Supreme Court. Now, in other news, 250 men and women from the Ghana Police Service have been trained in a 7-week program for a peace mission to South Sudan. At a closing ceremony for the recruits in Accra Wednesday, the men displayed skills learned from the American trainers. Commanding officer of the Foreign Police Unit of the Ghana Police Service, Chief Superintendent Hamza Yakubu, reiterated the recruits are not for monitoring elections as claimed by the NPP.
The personnel passing out today are the second batch to have been trained by the IPPOs to offer service in war-torn countries. It is, however, sad to note that for some unknown reasons, a section of Ghanaians have conveniently been peddling lies that they are privy to information that these trainees are being prepared to be deployed for illegal electoral functions. That is absolutely false. I wish to remind all those who have peddled this porous rumor to ask God for forgiveness, because we are going to serve our God and country.
Now, U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Robert Jackson, advised the personnel to utilize their skills effectively and lift the flag of Ghana high.
The members of the formed police unit, let me say this. You will represent Ghana in an international setting, working with police officers, military, civilians, and host nation citizens to help establish and maintain peace in South Sudan. I congratulate you on your graduation. I know you will represent Ghana well and learn well from your experiences so that you can bring back new skills when you return to Ghana.
Now, a survey undertaken by a lecturer at the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana reveals the opposition New Patriotic Party stands a better chance of emerging victorious at the December polls. The findings of the survey, which administered 100 questionnaires in 24 swing constituencies across the country, suggest the NDC, led by President John Dramani Mahama, would have a Herculean task of securing a majority of votes cast across the country. Joy News' Joseph Akable has more in this report.
It was undertaken by a lecturer at the University of Ghana Political Science Department, Dr. Isaac Mensah. It sampled the views of Ghanaians of voting age from 24 constituencies across the country. These are constituencies that have at a point been won by the two major political parties, that is the NPP and the NDC, since the return to multi-party democracy in 1992. The findings state a majority of respondents sampled from the Brong-Ahafo region, Western, Central and Greater Accra region say they are likely to vote for the NPP, while those sampled in the Northern region are likely to vote for the NDC.
The result says that 55.8% are voting for, if the election were held the day we conducted last, for instance today, are voting for His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, whilst 38.8% are voting for NPP. The result tells us that 44% are voting for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, 44.5% are voting for NPP, Papa Kwasi Nkrumah have 5.5%, Alban Green Street have 1.5%, and will not vote for any presidential candidate have 4%. These are the results in these areas. Now, this is a trend of the Western region. The results tells us that 27.5% are voting for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, 52.2% are voting for Nana Akufo-Addo MPP. Central, Almighty Central region is here. Central region, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is getting 33.4% from our study. Nana Akufo-Addo of MPP is getting 57.2%.
For the entire country, the survey reveals the opposition MPP stands a better chance of winning this year's polls.
No, I will not say that we have a runoff, because it's important to look at the conclusions that we have come to. Now, what are some of the conclusions that we have come to? We are saying that NPP has a better chance of winning even the first round. But the success of winning depends on how best they can mobilize their people to go and vote, number one. Number two, the extent in which the ballot can be policed from the one to the end, that's also very important. Now, why do us, and if they can win the first round on that basis, but even if elections to go to the second round, NPP will still be in the lead.
The findings, despite the conclusion, suggest if both parties run an effective campaign, the polls might head into a runoff.
Presidential candidate of the Convention People's Party, Ivor Greenstreet, has lashed out at the vice presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mamadou Bawumia, referring to him as an Accra Northerner who does not understand the hardship the people of the North face. He told the people of Yanga in the Wale Wale constituency in the northern region, Dr. Bawumia has all of a sudden found out the people of the area do not have water, roads, access to healthcare because he wants to become vice president, and questions where he has been all this while. Mr. Greenstreet says Ghanaians should not buy into the NPP's Rise for Change mantra because it will bring nothing but vengeance. The CPP presidential candidate also accused both the NPP and the NDC of neglecting the area and depriving them of development, adding that a win for any of the two parties is a win for their families and cronies and not for the people of Ghana. Elsewhere, Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur has urged the various driver unions to help make this year's elections peaceful by reporting suspicious passengers to the police, especially on election day. He said drivers are partners in development and should volunteer to provide information to the police and the other security agencies. The Vice President made the appeal when he interacted with the various driver unions at Kaswa as part of his 4-day campaign tour of the Central Region. He urged the drivers to be on the lookout for passengers who would hire them on election day with an intention to cause mayhem at polling centers.
Number 7, one share go for rent over charter or car. What that could be when you there, or there, or okay, and Yama on Fata. Now, or to Trabaganan, one share, and our driver, no police station there. Police from coffee or time.
I will appeal to the various driver unions to help make this year's elections peaceful by reporting to the police and other security agencies any passenger who would hire their services to cause trouble at a polling station.
What's a common walk on land guards and macho men and walk or walk with the 2 days small home, not driving way who meeting way who.
Whether they are land guards or out there to cause mayhem, drive them straight to the police station.
The election,
Now, barely 2 weeks to the 2016 election, flag bearer of the Independent People's Party, Kofi Akpaloo, has expressed discomfort about the preparedness of the Electoral Commission, accusing it of losing focus and needing help. Mr. Akpaloo was speaking earlier on the polls.
Just this particular election, you can see there are a lot of problems going on. This is the first time we are hearing this printing press having difficulty. Yeah. So even the press have to pay money, you know. Right. They are trying to bring a whole lot into the whole thing, you know, trying to criminalize people and all those kind of stuff. And I don't know what the EC is looking for. So I think they've lost focus. So we have to all help them to do the right thing, I think, for the benefit of our country. So I think the EC need help.
He also explained that he has decided to support the MPP presidential candidate Nana Akufo-Addo following his disqualification because he can identify with the party's ideologies and policies.
Because I believe their policies is going to transform this economy. It's going to create jobs, it's going to stimulate the economy, it's going to put money into people's pocket for people to buy goods and services and business begin to boom. When the businesses are doing well, young men and women will be, I mean, this is a country where our base rate is 25.6%. And how can you run an economy with 25% base rate? So I believe that when MPP gets this opportunity, they will be able to bring it to a single figure, a single digit, and it will help the small businesses to do very, very well. We also have fantastic ideas that we are going to use to support Nana Akufo-Addo. In our manifesto, we propose that we're going to set up a $10 billion job fund. And that $10 billion job fund, what we're going to do is that our young men and women who are coming from universities and polytechnics, we're going to support them with money to start their own businesses. We don't believe in this 5,500 cities, 600 cities start a business.
We're taking a break, but there's more news coming up thereafter. But we also have business news. That's right after the break station. As it's time now for business news, and there's a very interesting story that's been going on for some days now. It has to do with the freezing of some accounts, bank accounts of some of government bank accounts. Now, governments, we're yet to hear any official word from government on the freezing of the account, even though largely our checks suggest that this is true, except we're not too sure how bad it is on government, but the accounts we're talking about are significant.
Exactly. Treasury single account, that's the, so to speak, the operational account for government, where revenues and expenditures are conducted. And that's where payments are made every now and then.
All right.
And it has also some sub-account.
So then when you hear a story like that, I mean, it's fair to say that public sector workers will be worried whether they're going to get paid at the end of this month.
Yes, but there is good news. The Comptroller and Accountant General Department is saying that there's no worry at all.
There's no cause to worry?
No cause to worry. Your salaries will be paid.
Can we take that to the bank?
Well, that's what we don't know. Maybe there's a separate account somewhere that the government would pay, salaries from.
Well, we'll wait to hear the details.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, and thanks for joining me on Business. Salary payments of public sector workers for this month will not be affected, despite reports of some government's accounts being frozen. That's the assurance coming from the Comptroller and Accountant General's Department. But does this assurance raise questions about the reported freeze of government's account? The following business report has more.
According to the head of public relations at the Comptroller and Accountant General's Department, Robert Kujo, they have not been given any formal letter to indicate that the account for paying salaries of public sector workers has indeed been frozen. He added that since the beginning of this month, they have been able to carry out the necessary processes that should aid salary payments from next week. The head of public relations at the department says, as far as he's concerned, it has been business as usual for the department, adding that they can only stop drawing from the Treasury single account when they receive a formal communication or letter from the Bank of Ghana. But the latest information reinforces the suspicion that the said accounts have not been frozen after all. That is, either the Bank of Ghana is not enforcing the court ruling, or someone is indeed up to something that we may not know for now. There's another striking development. Some public officials that Joy Business have been engaging over the issue, even as of today, have been tight-lipped about the details.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. The opposition MPP continues its regional rallies as election day draws near and as part of activities to wrap up its campaign activities. The Upper West rally ended an hour ago at the Tindamba JHS Park, and correspondent Rafiq Salam is there for Joy News. Good evening to you, Rafiq. Who addressed the rally and what was the message?
Israel, thank you very much. I must say that several victors of the MPP addressed the rally, as well said, that ended about an hour ago. A flag bearer of the party himself, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, was there. So too was his running mate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Former Trade and Industry Minister Alan Kojo Kyerematen also addressed the rally, and then also Acting General Secretary of the party, John Bodu. But what happened was that some of the parliamentary candidates in the Upper West region were given the opportunity to also address the crowd. They included the Honorable Ambrose P. Derry, former deputy minority leader, and also Godfrey Bayuntango, and also and then also a host of other leaders of the party were given that opportunity to address the rally.
Now, Rafiq, would you say this would be about the last rally, major rally to be held in the region?
According to the MPP, this is going to be the last major rally for them. It's the regional rally that they have done. And I tell you that all 11 constituencies in the Upper West region came together and held that regional rally at the Tindamba. And I must tell you that it was a massive turnout for the MPP. And I must also tell you that never in the history of the MPP have they also gotten such a crowd anywhere in the region. And so their response today was massive, and even though I must say that it was from all the 11 constituencies that converged at the Tindamba School Park.
Now, Rafiq, would you have any idea why the MPP has been able to raise this crowd? You're saying that has not been seen in the history of the constituency.
I am saying this because the rally is a regional one, and you know, in the Upper West region we have 11 constituencies. And in all these 11 constituencies, they have been able to get people from the 11 constituencies to converge at the Tindamba School Park for this massive rally. And then that's why I'm saying that it's massive, because it is not only WA, and then the people are from the other parts of the region, and that's why we have that massive turnout. And I want to repeat that the MPP has never been best organized like they did this evening.
All right, thank you very much, Rafiq Salam, bringing us up to speed with the MPP's campaign activities in the Upper West region. President John Mahama has reaffirmed his government's commitment to ensure that the Savannah Accelerated Development Authority is back on track to help alleviate poverty in northern Ghana and bridge the development gap between the north and south. Addressing the National Forum on the transformation of the northern Savannah at Bolgatanga in the Upper East region, where he's wrapping up a 4-day campaign tour, President Mahama acknowledged that the previous approach used at the inception of SADA contributed to the mismanagement of the authority.
And so large-scale, commercial-scale farmers will help small outgrowers. There will be a market for buying off the products of them. It will create a whole value chain for agro-processing of the food that is produced from the soya bean. You know, we can supply a lot of sorghum and other of those cereals to the breweries. We can grow more rice to be able to meet Ghana's demand for rice production, and so many other crops that have been identified. They've even done a soil study of the whole northern Savannah zone and know which type of soil is in which part of the north, and which type of soil is good for which type of crop. And so if we are pushing agriculture and agribusiness, this part of the north is good for rice production. This part is not good, it's better for cotton production. This part is good for soya bean. This part is good for granules. They've done that study, I've seen it myself. And so any investor who comes and says, I want to invest in cotton, he says, oh, these lands are good for cotton. And so you can have 40,000 hectares, for cotton production. That study is there and available. And it was done by our own SADA. It's not tangible, it's not a building, so you will know about it, but it's a very valuable document.
The president is however confident that the rejuvenated SADA will thrive and create jobs in various sectors, including agribusiness. He revealed plans under SADA for the construction of a dam at Pwalugu in the Talented district to produce hydroelectricity and for irrigation.
When I say I'm satisfied and happy with the work that Charles and his team have done, I really mean it. There's a Sicily Kopong project. It's a private, public-private partnership. It is being, done in collaboration with the Netherlands government, with UNCO and SADA. And that will be one of the biggest irrigation projects available. The feasibility study has been done. There are a few issues to do with DRA because DRA is complaining about the amount of water that will be taken out of the Volta River, and considering the problem they're having with water downstream, then they say that if we took that amount of water, it will make Akosombo and Krom have a problem with electricity. And so that is being discussed to see what the limits of water can be taken out of the Volta River without affecting VRA. And once we know, it says you can pump this number of millions of gallons, per day, then we know what size the Sicily Kopong project should take. So these are some of the things that are being worked on. If you've been following the news, you'll have seen that I received the Chinese delegation. They have been guests of SADA, and Charles Abugrid brought them to see me, and we discussed the sign, and then before they left. This is the China state corporation that deals with textiles and garments industry. And the MOU they signed with SADA was to do the full integrated value chain of cotton to textiles and garments in the northern part of the country. That is, grow the cotton, on a large scale, but also have outgrowers growing the cotton, buy the cotton of the farmers, utilize the ginneries that we have to gin the cotton, set up textile spinning companies here to spin the cotton into yarn and use it to produce textiles, and those textiles will be used to produce garments for export into the American market under AGOA or into other markets. This would be one of the biggest integrated projects, ever, if it is implemented. And I express my absolute support for SADA and the Chinese group, and said we're willing to welcome them. So SADA has started working, and they are serious. They say, show us the lands immediately. So Charles has been running all over the place, looking for land. That's why I was talking about the chiefs and the land tenure system and all that. But I know he's looking for a lot of land for cotton growing and integrated textiles.
Now, the Supreme Court has dismissed a suit filed by DPP flag bearer Thomas Nuako Ward-Brew, seeking that the court orders the EC to postpone this year's polls from December 7. Mr. Ward-Brew, in his suit, had argued that he wasn't in the country when the court offered all disqualified nominees a lifeline to correct mistakes on their nomination form. He stated that the EC failed to adequately inform all nominees of the window of opportunity once the court gave that order. A postponement of the polls, he stated, would offer nominees who were earlier disqualified an opportunity to effectively campaign. The court, in its ruling, read by JSC Sofa Adenyira, described the suit as lacking merit in both form and substance. A cost of 3,000 cedis awarded in favor of the EC was awarded in favor of the EC against the DPP flag bearer. The disqualified nominee, speaking to the press after the judgment, says he has no intention of filing for a review.
The shortage of time. So I think it's all right.
But one issue the court raised was the fact that some members of your party could have presented a form on your behalf.
You mean when I traveled?
Exactly.
Yes, but not to the same extent, because this thing it's personalized in a way. That's why it's your signature which is needed. You see, the presidential is a personal thing. Somebody cannot come and substitute you.
Yeah, but the law allows some members of your party to present on your behalf.
No, yes, they can present the completed version with you participating in it, but not that they can just replace you. Oh, no. Oh. Because of the time factor.
All right, time for entertainment. Ms. G, welcome.
Thank you, Israel. How are you doing?
I'm well.
And need I say thanks for lunch? Okay, let's not go there. Let's not go there. All right. Okay. So, you know the story that has been trending since yesterday. It has to do with Dasibre Jamna. Now, initially, you knew that there was a lot of litigation about who had rights to the body. Then finally, there was a ruling that went in favor of the maternal family. Now the date...
And I thought they had settled.
The date has been set. It's this weekend. But the paternal side say they aren't attending this funeral.
Oh. They couldn't have resolved this issue.
Well, they said they have a funeral as well, so they aren't going for the funeral of the late Dasibre Jamna. Here's Yao Boateng, who speaks for the paternal family.
We have a funeral to attend at Koforidua, so we cannot make it.
Have you informed the mother side?
When the date was given, we also told them that we have a funeral on that day, so at least I know they are aware of it.
And they agreed that even though you have a funeral, they'll still go on with the set date?
As we speak, that is the date out, so definitely he will be buried on Saturday. Yeah, that's what I know.
Isn't it worrying for you that your late brother will be laid to rest and you'll be there to pay him your last respect?
Yes, it is, but as we speak, there's nothing we can do about it. Only God knows our heart. God knows that we have a clean heart.
Is the issue still the fact that the paternal side wanted custody of the body, so the funeral be held in Koforidua?
No. At the end of the day, when we went to court, on the first year, when we agreed not to drag the issue, so the body being buried in Central Region is not a problem to us right now. But like I said, we have a funeral on Friday. So that means we can make it.
And that's a family decision?
Yeah.
All right, so that's the paternal family.
Well, I just hope that they'll just get to bury the...
Well, finally, the maternal side say, okay, if they don't come, the funeral will still go on. And they still think that it has to do with they not having custody. That's the paternal side, not having full custody of the body. In fact, the uncle who spoke to me in Ogjedu says they had actually come to a compromise with them that give us the body. We'll have the funeral in Anumabu in the Central Region, but we'll give the body to you so that you can bury his remains in Koforidua. So, so the uncle actually has been speaking to us.
The
body will be taken from the morgue on Friday to Anumabu. For some reasons best known to them, the paternal family members of our son have refused to attend the funeral, but we believe they hold some sort of anger in them based on our argument in court concerning the burial. We will still go ahead and bury him, even though it hurts to know that the paternal family members won't be present.
For the bulletin, my name is Israel. You have a good night.
This is Joy News Prime.